Hey, I'm with Jordan Charles. I keep wanting to say Charles Jordan. I'm with Jordan Charles, director of the short film Brothers at Arms. And if you are an emerging filmmaker and you want to make films, we always tell you start with short films, and that's what we're going to talk about, just that kind of process there. But Jordan, why don't you tell us about Brothers at Arms? What is the story?
Sure, will do. And Alan, want to thank you as well, and everyone at the outfit there. Thanks for all you're doing for supporting independent filmmakers and for your passion and love of cinema and providing a platform for us to be able to herald and describe our work to fellow film fans. So thank you for doing so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I appreciate the opportunity today, Alan. Brothers in Arms, it's a project that's very meaningful to my heart. We actually the inception of the project started probably about good 8+ years ago. I was looking at, I guess, as hallmarks, people like Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and Sylvester Stallone. There's so many countless examples of this where they try to use different guises in the industry. In those cases, they're writing to help try to advance a lot of their feature film acting. And I had acted in about 13 independent films to date. And I'm humbled by the experience to work with nascent and fellow colleagues and filmmakers in the independent space. But there was something I had to get out of me. I came from an immigrant family. After World War II, there was a lot of separation and division in my own family. And I saw the ties that bind and when they're broken and how they affected even my father after my grandfather immigrated from World War II. He ended up becoming a POW in Argentina. On my mom's side, her father, my grandfather on that side, he was almost like the Hurt Locker, like diffusing bombs and different things like that in his unit. A lot of them got blown up, sadly. And he was trying to search for a better life in North America and other places like that. And I saw the ripples of those effects on family after all this distance and separation. So to kind of get these feelings out of me, I decided to write a story about the impact of broken family and how can the bonds be redeemed after such a long time of being separated. And I created a narrative story of two brothers that, due to a tragic childhood accident, they get separated at a young age and they end up leading disparate lives. One becomes a relentless police officer, gets raised on the straight and narrow. The other one ends up getting involved with the tentacles of his criminal father, and he grows up in a life of crime and he becomes this devious mastermind criminal. And the film picks up 25 years later, these two boys being separated for so long, they're on this collision course to collide. And I wanted the film to really explore the meaning of family and brotherhood in terms of what those concepts mean after all these years of just disparate separation. And the themes in the film are very, very powerful. A lot of the audiences that have seen them to date, they felt it was very visceral. I think that a lot of the touchstones that we explore thematically, I think they are heralded in a lot of family experiences all across the globe, because I think a lot of people come from immigrant backgrounds and they've seen division in their own families. So we ended up getting financing to get the short film produced and shot. That process took about 3.5, 4 years. Now we've actually gained completion of the short film. We've submitted on the film festival front. Our production team is now using the short film as a proof of concept to try to gain financing and development of the feature. I know all that was a mouthful, but I hope it gives you a sense or a gestation of where we've been with the project, what it is, and what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, you're not the only one. We do get short films submitted that are, hope to grow into a full-fledged feature. And I'm kind of interested in the process, in the sense of, was there ever a chance that you were going to make the feature, or was there just a point where you resigned yourself and said, hey, let's just grab the best stuff we can, and just basically, I think what you're trying to do is prove yourself as an actor, as a filmmaker, to say that, hey, we can produce a project, a film that is worthy of investing in at the feature level.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's kind of like what you're hitting on, right? I mean, you don't know what the outcome is going to be. And I always pledge and preach this, that I don't like to be outcome driven. I like to be more process driven. I mean, it takes a miracle every time a film is made. Like, I think it's so ubiquitous now. Like, we've got these thumb tiles where you see the poster of a film on all these streaming platforms, and all we're doing is scrolling, and we're figuring out what do we want to watch on a Saturday or on a Tuesday night. But I think audiences it gains something for them to realize, like, that's someone's dream or their passion for like 4 or 5, 6 years. They've lived with that project, and whether it translates well or not in the final viewing of it, that's an entirely, different concept. But when you're initially starting out to make something, even for us on this project, there is no guarantee that you're going to see the light of day in terms of what your overall outcome is designed to be. I mean, we started off with the short. I actually took like actual scenes that are in the feature length script to try to showcase them in the short, so that production companies and studios, when they see it, they can gain a sense that, you know what, this would actually play well in the longer format as a feature. So we were very intentional in our execution, but you don't know. I try not to harbor doubts in terms of, are we going to see the light of day? Can we muster the success that we're looking for? And I mean, you can measure success in a lot of different ways. I'm proud of the 135 plus people that were part of this short. I mean, that was a tremendous odyssey in and of itself. But I mean, you just put your head down and continue the work, and it requires a collaboration of so many to get it accomplished.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'll say when I watched the Brothers in Arms, you did the right things. You from the very beginning, you set up what the main conflict was. You and your brother separated at birth, and then you jump right into the present, where you're on different paths. One's a police officer, the other's a criminal, and right away you understand the gravity of the situation. You understand the basic conflict of the movie. And then you brought in probably the most emotional scene, at least early on, so you're not giving things away.
Sure.
I mean, was there a lot of thought behind? Okay, what scenes are we going to pull in, or I guess, I guess what I'm trying to ask is the marketing versus the narrative. Were you trying to sell it, or were you trying to at least get a coherent short put together?
Yeah, so it's great question, Alan. I appreciate you took something away from it as well, but also from a structural standpoint, it's like you said, like you get in the mind of the filmmaker sometimes when you look at, okay, why'd they execute it this way, and then how it begins or how it ends and what you show. Like, there's old adages that you can make entire films out of, the part of the shooting process that doesn't get shown on the screen. So we, in this case, testament to that fact, I think we shot like 21 scenes, and I want to say about 14 actually made it in the cut. And we were very deliberate in terms of how much do you want to kind of sample and show and demonstrate to really help the audience gather the introduction to the story world and the characters and where they came from, where they're going, but also show that this mosaic exists, that all these people are intertwined, because in its intended long form manner as a feature, it's intended to be a crime saga that's kind of reminiscent of like Michael Mann's Heat or Scorsese's The Departed, or even something like No Country for Old Men, where you have a lot of these archetypal figures. So we tried to spotlight and shine and cast something upon that, but also kind of sweep the rug out by the end so that it kind of leaves you yearning for more. And I don't know if we executed it in that way in terms of the viewing, but that was definitely meaningful and intentional the way that we tried to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have that cliffhanger ending.
Sure.
So I mean, that's exactly what you want. Now let's talk about then what is it's a very good looking production. I mean, clearly you said 130 people. It looks good. How does that? What have you been doing this for a while and you've garnered kind of this crew together, or where in your filmmaking process are you that you were able to create a very professional looking film?
Yeah, I appreciate the kind words. I'm glad you captured something, aesthetically from it that hopefully helped drive some of the emotions you got after the viewing. That was also purposeful. We wanted to make sure that, I wanted to hearken the films in cinema that I really, really like. And that bokeh effect that you saw with the anamorphic lenses, with the Alexa sensor as a camera, that for me, that combination, it really makes my heart pound and dance. I just love films that have that aesthetic with the Alexa with anamorphic. So, and LA with the Mulholland Drive lights and everything else. I mean, it's hard to go wrong, right? It's very pleasing and soothing to me when I see that on the screen. I mean, there's a lot of wonderful camera systems, but for me, that's the one that really vibrates the most. In terms of, gathering the crew, I've been acting on stage since I was like a little kid. My grandfather had like this Italian Canadian, theatrical community that he tried to become spearheaded and became a leader of. And then I was acting in a lot of those things from the beginning. So I learned a lot about stage life. And then as a teenager, I started doing a lot of indie filmmaking and stage work, kind of left some of the acting stuff behind. And then I picked it up again in my late 20s. And when you jump onto each production and you show up, you got to be prepared. You got to do your preparation as, the performer in a role. But you also, for me anyway, I always stay on set even on the days that I don't work just to watch. And then you see, like, there's some people that are just exceptional at their jobs. It really, it takes a village to make a film, and even a TV show for that matter. So when I started deciding I really want to make, this story be what it could, and I would literally like stay on set in different productions as an actor and then write down, okay, this person's really good as a gaffer. This person's really good at gripping. This person is a phenomenal cinematographer. And what I did was in the beginning, I was like, okay, let me make out a list of all my idealized type crew among the people that I work with, and even some that I haven't, that I looked at films and I'm like, wow, who is the person in this role in production design on that? And we tried to collaborate with a lot of these people, and very wonderfully so, I was able to muster the involvement of a lot of these individuals that I'd worked with in the past. Like Ibrahim Nod is my co-director on this. Anything that you see in the film that works well, it's largely due to his talent and his execution abilities. I'm more kind of along for the ride. I always say that to my crew, like, this couldn't have been anywhere near what it looks like right now without all the contributions of them. My cinematographer, Aaron Alps, the cinematography won a Best Cinematography Award at the Swedish International Film Festival. And I highlight that because it took such amazing effort by all of these individuals in our camera, directing units, production design units to really see this in its, I guess, its executable form. And I'm really proud of their work.
Yeah. Yeah. When you have no money, having good people behind you it helps a whole lot.
It's so hard. Yeah. I'm really proud of them, and there's further you want to go, but we're going to have to save that for the feature film now.
Yeah.
So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
No, I understand that. Like I said, you're not the only one to have that dream of a feature film and realize, it's that idea of if you want to make movies, you have to do it yourself. No one's coming for you. No one's going to call you. You have to do it. And let me ask you this: in this entire process that you've gone through with Brothers in Arms, what advice would you give to a good friend who wants to follow the same route? They've just written their script, they have the story idea. What is the most valuable piece of advice you can give them to take that first step forward to making that short?
Yeah, it's a great question. I appreciate you doing that, even for other listeners and other, filmmakers that want to get their projects off the ground. I think the first thing, number one, expect difficulty, challenge, hardship. I call it beautiful pain. You could be planned to the hilt. You show up on set, there's going to be a fire. There's going to be some problem that has to be solved. Someone's going to show up late. There's going to be a car accident. So the camera, for some reason, is not, processing properly. Something will go wrong. Someone's going to have to, run to the store to grab something. You're going to be late. There's going to be delays. That's just all part of every project, and that's fine. But at the same time, in the beginning, before you start, do everything you can to squirrel away and try to gather up as much financing as possible, because you're going to need the funds. And also, you're going to need the funds way after the shoot phase is finished. Post-production is a very expensive process. There's all kinds of things between formatting, coloring, sometimes digital rendering. Sometimes there's going to be things that you need to fix in post. You need data wranglers. You need very, very good editing team members. Try to get crew that really believe in the project as well as you do. And by crew, I mean cast and crew for that matter. Your collaborators, they become more than your colleagues. They become your champions to help you drive forward beyond all the messes and things that go wrong. So I think those are touchstones that, be mentally prepared that those things will occur, but just really rely and believe in your team, because it's a mission that you're really collaborating towards together. And just expect the things to happen that you don't want, because that's just part of the process. If you want it to rain, you gotta deal with the mud too.
Yeah. Do you have a snafu that comes to mind that you didn't expect?
Oh yeah. So there was a scene that we didn't use that ended up on the cutting room floor in the short. our DIT, the person that manages the data to make sure, all the takes end up on the hard drive. He's parked street side. Some car hits him, so there's a car accident. Then we have to get to the next location. We've only got about 4.5, 5 hours for that location, which we went from downtown to like Malibu, the beach side, and we have to brave through LA traffic. We get there. The setup, it wasn't the way that we intended because there was other things going on at that location. So we ended up having to do the next scene in 3 takes, and we were running out of storage because of what happened with the DIT. I mean, God bless all these people. You don't expect these things, but we managed to knock out that pier scene that you see in the actual short. That was 3 takes, like 1, 2, 3, over the shoulder, done. It's over. And a lot of people, actually, it's one of their favorite scenes in the film because of the cinematography that exists in the background there. So again, you don't know what's going to happen. You got to brave and live through it, Alan.
Yeah, amazing. So thanks for talking with me. Where's Brothers in Arms right now?
Yeah, so right now we proliferated to a lot of film festivals. We had our big kind of unveiling at American Film Market in Santa Monica in end of October, early November. We showcased the film there. We've started building some relationships and dialogue with a lot of production companies and studios to try to muster now a lot of the partnering that goes into the financing to get the feature film off the ground and in greenlight status. So we're having ongoing talks to gain that financing to get it together. We've now submitted the feature film screenplay to casting in the industry. There's some names that we have in mind that we would love to bring onto the project to inhabit some of the roles for the feature, because a short film kind of harkens just kind of a snapshot of what the greater feature film story is. There's a lot of very involved and developed and intertwining characters that are going to be involved in that. So I think it's going to really harken a lot of the great crime sagas and dramas that came before it. It's a very heartening story, and it's got a lot of pulp to it. In addition to that, we've got the film festival circuit that's ongoing. We won a Best Film Award at the Neo Noir Festival in Los Angeles. We're very, very blessed and humbled by that. We've gained acknowledgments at a few other fests. I think that's going to be ongoing in 2024. Mm-hmm. If people want to find news about the film, they can go to www.watchbrothersinarms.com. My handles have got some news on the film as well. My main website, actorjordancharles.com, and also my Instagram handle @actorjordancharles. Feel free to look at news on the film that way.
Okay, great. Well, fingers crossed that 2024 will be a great year for you and for Brothers in Arms.
Appreciate that, Alan.
Yeah. And thank you. Thanks for talking with me.
Yeah, and thank you, Alan. And again, really, thank you for all the work that you're doing in the independent film landscape, because it's pods like this and people that bring light to cinema that allow project to emerge and get off the ground and get eyes on them, so people are aware and they can ascribe themselves to filmmakers that maybe whose content that is more relatable to them. So thank you for all the hard work that you're doing here as well.
You're welcome. That's why we're here.